This is from News Hub tonight. Let's have a look at the coalition, where they're at today. More meetings costing New Zealand tax. It's funny, It's funny, how this is costing New Zealand taxpayers thousands and thousands of dollars a day of hiring hotels and stuff, but that's okay. That doesn't matter. But, like spending too much on on someone's Christmas party or a leaving dinner, working for MFAT, that's a big problem. But thousands and thousands of dollars a day doing this, that's right. No problems whatsoever. Let's have a look at the story from tonight. This is News Hub talking about the coalition talks.
Coalition negotiations have now taken longer than in 2017, though Christopher Luxon's adamant he's making good progress and is, quote, pretty close to forming a government.
I do find Christopher Luxon being a little bit too enthusiastic. Yesterday when we showed them walking across and the other two guys were a bit like, no, there's some things to go. And Luxon's like, yeah, this is going really good and it's going to be soon. And it's that kind of CEO vibe of keeping the morale up for people who are
absolutely.
It's sort of what it is, everything's great. There's no in business. It does have a bit of a vibe. But today he did open up a little bit and talk a bit more about what's going on behind the iron curtain, so to speak. And they gave a few tidbits out.
The National Party leader had more meetings with ACT and New Zealand First in Auckland today and confirmed ministerial roles are being allocated. Here's political reporter Lloyd Burr.
After 2 weeks under the cone of silence, Luxon finally allowing a peek underneath.
Oh, very good. We had a very productive day yesterday.
Optimistic to repeat that today.
We're pretty close. And, for us, it's about, just working through the last couple of issues.
Confirming they've now moved to discussing ministerial appointments.
I wonder if the last couple of issues, though, like let's say you had 20 things to sort out and you did 18 of those things over 3 or 4 days. That would mean you're pretty close. But what if those last two things take another 2 weeks? Like, what if we're now talking the last couple of things? One of them is the foreign buyers tax. I wonder if that's going to be like we might be pretty close in the number of things we've sorted out. Imagine running a marathon and you've got 10 drink stops, but the first 9 drink stops are all in the first 3 or 4 Ks, and then the last drink stop is like 25 Ks later. You might be quite close to finishing your drink stops, but you still might be quite a long way from the finish line, Chewy. You know what I'm saying?
Could be the linchpin of your tax policy.
Yeah, it could be that.
It could be whether we're going to kick off a race war in this country.
Oof.
We're so close to the edge.
Little things like that.
We're already discussing some of that already with both parties. Yep.
And whether negotiations have been prickly.
Yeah, there's been moments of directness, as there should be, and there needs to be, because we have to build trust with each other.
His deputy expanding on that.
At the end of the day, everyone's got to get their ego, put it to one side.
Referring to Winston Peters perhaps, and him ghosting them on Tuesday after reportedly being offended by National's offering.
My observation of Winston Peters is he is someone who has been in politics a very long time. I think it would take more than a document to offend him.
I wouldn't overread.
Was that a little snipe or not? Sometimes you wonder, it's like he's been, it sounds like she was saying on one hand, he's been around long enough that he understands the game. But on the other hand, it might be, do you know how long this guy's been in this place?
He's been here a long time.
Really long time.
I think there's a masterful try and have it both ways comment.
All right, we'll keep going.
Read all too much into the drama. I appreciate it's a bit of drama, but
I just a bit of drama. It's a big power play from Winston, wasn't it?
Rubbish, absolute rubbish.
Did he not do it to teach you a lesson?
No, absolute rubbish.
The rest of Luxon's negotiating cabal joining him too. Paul Goldsmith, Simeon Brown, and scootering in Chris Bishop, meeting first with Peters.
Okay. Pity he was going so slow there. We can see how covered in
it's pretty substantial, actually.
It is interesting also that they met separately. So yesterday, all three of them were in the room together for a whole 30 minutes, Chewy, a whole 30 minutes. And today, Luxon met with Winston for 3 hours. And then I just saw a headline actually from stuff that after he was done with Winston, he had Seymour turn up. And from the Herald 6 minutes ago, David Seymour says possibly this week to the coalition. So that doesn't show in this story because this was before 6 o'clock.
Were you offended by the document that the National Party gave you last week?
Next question.
Next question means yes, in case you're wondering with Mr. Peters, because if it's not, he'd go, don't be ridiculous. Who do you think you are? What kind of journalism is this? But next question basically means, yep, but I'm not going to talk to that right now.
That question, why didn't you make it to Wellington for meetings on Tuesday?
I had a meeting that was occasioned by a request from an overseas foreign minister who was coming out of Perth in Rarotonga and heading off to APEC. and he wanted to see me in Auckland, so I had to cancel 5 flights to fit in with him.
These Auckland talks are not cheap. The daily rate of these conference rooms is around $1,000. Is the taxpayer picking up the bill for these hotel conference rooms?
Who's paying the bills? I can give you an answer for that. But I mean, the reality is we're doing it in a very cost-effective way.
Is it wasteful spending when you've got a free parliament in Wellington?
No.
Okay. Money, not a worry.
I mean, this is the thing. Yeah, I don't really care about that. I actually genuinely don't. They've got to meet somewhere. But what I will always do is point back to the people, being National and ACT, who have been talking about wasteful spending of Labor for 18 months, 2 years now. So it's a valid question. It's a valid nitpick to throw at them. I mean, why didn't they just meet at one of their houses? You know, like that's what they were doing 2 weeks ago before the final counts came through. And so you don't have really solid ground to stay on if you've been criticizing a government of being wasteful spending. And right now the spending you are doing is not necessary. You could be in Wellington at the Beehive or Parliament buildings. You could be at someone's house. So, like I said, I don't really care about the meeting at the hotel. What I care about is hypocrisy and holding people accountable to their own standard. And their own standard is if Labor wastes 15 cents, they shouldn't be doing it. Well, they're doing it right now. There's negotiations, Chewy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like Luxon has his office up there. Seymour has an office up there.
Yeah.
New Zealand First have an office up there. You know, there's lots of other options. But yeah, I agree. It's the same sort of thing. Part of me wants to go, you know, yeah, it's hypocrisy. You talk about wasteful spending. But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, look, this is just what it takes to form a government. It's small change. But they could save themselves this effort by thinking of the optics of it. If two meatheads like us can criticize them on it, then they've lost.
I think that's it, right? It's you have to be held to the same standard that you're holding Labor, the Greens, Te Pāti Māori to. And if Labor, the Greens, Te Pāti Māori were meeting somewhere pre-election because they wanted to rather than they had to, and it was costing. Now, they said the room was $1,000. The reason I said thousands of dollars a day, that's just for the room. Right? That's not for all the other things they're using there, for the lunches they're eating, for the meal, you know, and there's obviously a horde of them up there. So I'm like you, I don't personally think it's a big deal, the money. It's not a lot of money. And like you say, you got to get together and do it. But again, when they've been criticizing the left of being wasteful for so long, then spending when you don't need to is wasteful. That's what I care about. I care about the hypocrisy.